Mike.
Gary.
Yeah, there are people on the other links, so I wanted to get them over here. So I told them everybody.
All right.
The letter A, Shakina, there's a bunch of other. Yeah, the letter A. Hey, say something, A. Are you a boy or a girl? Are you a female A or a male A?
For the amount of times we've brought up the letter A, it still surprises me that no one's responded to all of the commentary. When will A reveal itself? It's like Batman. Just no one knows.
Yeah.
No one knows who's behind the mask.
Yeah, I usually count on, I'm so busy catching up since being away last week. Um,
Yeah, fill us in. What were you up to?
That's a good question. We could do a Q&A set. What was I up to? I was at my real estate company's first annual summit. It was good. Overall, it was really good. I'm really impressed with the management team. It's a publicly traded company, Fathom Realty. We're in 38 states, and CEO is cool. The CFO is brilliant. The COO, she's amazing. We got like really amazing people on that team. Nice.
Awesome.
It feels good to be associated with people like that.
Yeah, always
So,
pushes you to step up, right?
well, and I was chasing the CEO because he told me to give me 10 minutes during the meeting, but it turns out I'm going to get an hour with him in the coming
Nice.
week, not this week, probably next week. And yeah, because the business model I'm pursuing, I want his blessing. I really want his blessing on what we're doing. So we may have suppressed turnout here because they changed the link.
I didn't see that. It looked like it was the same link to me. Did it get broadcast differently somewhere?
Well, this is my link, not Patrick's link. Usually Monday's Patrick's link and Wednesday's my link.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
So
just
I
went to the
I changed,
elephant.
yeah, I changed it in circle, so it was pointing in
Okay,
the right direction. But I can't make you co-host unless it's my link.
I see.
So I made you co-host. So hey everybody. Anybody have questions? Do we want to do a Q&A? I was trying to think of what I could focus on today, but I didn't have time to focus on what we should focus on. And so just so busy playing catch up all day. I worked all day Saturday, all day Sunday, just had all this contract work to do. Okay, so we got some hands up. Mr. Shields.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon.
Hey there.
How are you? You guys are with the Deal Machine, right? The Deal Machine app? Is
Yeah.
that what we're talking
Well,
about?
no, we're not with the app. We just call this session Deal Machine usually.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it has nothing to do with anything else named Deal Machine.
I got you.
Any
Is it?
resemblance is strictly coincidental, as they say,
Well said.
But is it
or
similar to?
accidental. All
I
right.
got you. Okay, thank you. That's okay. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're delighted to have you, Drake. No questions for us today?
I'm just new to the Elephant Challenge that's starting on Wednesday,
All right. Yeah.
and how I got involved in the group and everything in Pace is from all the other Amazon real estate investor mentorship programs are out there. So I tried to get with Pace after I got all the other programs, but thank God I was able to get the Elephant Challenge.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's great. We'll have we've got, everybody knows Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week are the dates for the latest challenge. Looking forward to seeing Pace. It's always amazing getting to spend some time with him. Thanks, Drake, here. So last week I wasn't here to be part of the Wednesday session. And it was because I was at a conference and I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just show you guys this because it's just too freaking funny. It looks like I got to refresh here. Hold on. I just want to show you guys something. My internet's acting up, so if I get booted out, Mike will take over and he'll be great.
See about that.
Wait a second, I gotta find the right version of this to show. Oh, come on, come into focus. I don't understand why this is not. Let's open it this way. Maybe it'll focus this way. This is it's really pretty funny. Oh, come on, computer. My Wi-Fi. Something's weird with my Wi-Fi. All right. Why are you? Let me save as. Let's just save it. Let's try this again.
You're teasing us with anticipation here, Gary.
Well, I mean, this is it's just funny, but I don't understand why 30 said
Funny,
this.
like a comic strip, or is it real estate related? What is it you're looking at?
All right, so somehow I think I corrupted. I don't understand why I'm having such problems here. All right, now it seems to. It's fuzzy here. I don't understand why it's fuzzy.
Cool. Maybe while Gary is looking that up, we have pretty much an open forum today in terms of questions. So if there are topics that you guys want to go over or anything specifically that you'd like to discuss, you could either raise your hand and come up on and ask Gary. Gary is a wealth of knowledge, and we have quite a smaller group today, so you are in luck with the ability to be able to talk to him directly. So you can raise your hand or just drop like a general topic that you'd like maybe for us to discuss to kind of prime the fuel here. We could go off of and answer any questions you have. So
all right, I'm just going to tell my story without the visual aid. I'm at my real estate conference for Fathom Realty, and I'm in a session. Of course, most of the sessions are geared at helping real estate agents do marketing. And I'm in a session, and the presenter comes up with a slide, and it says, "Why do social media?" And there's a photograph of Grant Cardone. Everybody know who Grant Cardone is, right? Then Cody Sanchez, she's the queen of business buying and selling. And then there's Pace Morby. So on the slide, I'm like, Pace, you made it to my conference. It's just like I was in Arizona for a mastermind, and I'm in my room, and I didn't realize that I had left A&E playing, and all of a sudden I'm in my hotel room. It's like 4 or 5 in the morning. I'm doing work, before we go into the mastermind sessions. And all of a sudden I hear, I'm Pace Morby. And I'm like, no, Pace, you're in my hotel room. Now it's in my conference. And it's just that Pace is on everybody's radar now. So, it had Grant Cardone, 10 million followers, Cody Sanchez, 3.5, Pace Morby, 1.5. So I go to the presenter after the presentation. I'm like, do you know who Pace Morby is? And so I made him put the slide back up and get in front and, do like a little pose. And I took a picture of it and I said, I'm going to text this to Pace. Oh, it blew the guy away. And so I text the photo of the slide to Pace. Pace is like, nice. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I just wanted to blow the presenter away that I have put Pace's cell phone in my phone so I could just text him. All right, so much for showing off, Gary. Let Dylan talk, right? Go ahead and unmute.
What's up, Dylan?
Dylan.
What's up, guys? So I just had like a really general question regarding, I was watching this video explaining kind of why there's a mass exodus going on in California as far as like why are people leaving? My question for that is like, does that take all the fix and flip cash deals along with all the companies and all like the people who are moving out of the state over to the states that they're moving into, like Florida and Tennessee, and like, because I don't really, I mean, flips are going on here, but like, do all the investors like move with them with all the companies that are moving out?
First
like,
of all, what's your information source for this?
I don't know if you ever heard of PBD. It's a sales guy who just watches a bunch, like not watches, but he's big in sales. He's a big
Patrick Bet
salesperson.
David.
Yeah, him. Yeah, he was
But
explaining.
what's
like,
it?
why.
Where is he getting the mass exodus? Because there's people moving into California all the time. There's people moving out of California all the time. California, Los Angeles is like the #1 city in the country that people want to move to. Not that they can afford to move to, but it's definitely one of the ones they want to move to. So
more on like the side of the companies, like not really the people, but like companies, like big companies that are moving out because of the regulations that are going into the companies. Like, I mean, the one I can remember off the top of my head is like for restaurant businesses, I forgot what, but it would just make having a restaurant in California a lot more difficult. So like people, that's also part of the reason why people are leaving. But mostly businesses though. Like a lot of big companies are like how I thought of one, how like they're forcing trucking companies to go electric and how California is kind of moving more towards like the electric stuff. Like, does that also trickle down into real estate, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Well, and in case anybody can hear that, no cats are being tortured here.
Cannot hear that.
All right. Well, depends on how close she gets because she's quite loud when she starts carrying on. Yeah, I mean, California is trying to be the first state in the nation to end gasoline powered cars. California has, especially the large metro areas in California, has tons of pollution problems. If it weren't for California's emission standards, I remember what it was like in the 70s and 80s driving into Los Angeles. I mean, you're approaching the city and you just see this city enveloped in this brown cloud. It's disgusting. And California made changes and they fixed that. But it was just disgusting. I mean, on an average day, you just approach the city and literally there'd just be this brown fog all around downtown buildings. And it was sad. So, and people want to know why is California so hard-assed on the tenant protection laws? Because of the freaking homeless problem we have. You don't think that's going to happen in Phoenix soon? I mean, Phoenix is got a horrible homeless problem now. They just broke up that big, huge encampment in downtown Phoenix. But where are those people going to go? Are you sending them to the suburbs to pitch tents out there? So these are, all of these laws are reactions to problems that they're trying to solve. And the biggest problem is we're just in general, in urban areas in this country, we are not creating enough new affordable housing. Like right now, there are more rental units coming online in this country than ever before, a record number, but most of them are high end. That's not helping the people that can't afford apartments. Things like pad split, that can help. That can actually help make a dent. That's like adding ADUs. But unfortunately, a lot of people are creating pad splits without getting permits to do the work, the alterations they're doing to their homes. And if they're doing it in places where there's no public sewer, they may be overburdening their septic systems. So, all the data I see, maybe California there's a slight net loss going on, but there's lots of people moving in all the time.
Yeah.
But once I got the bug, once I visited California, I was like, why the hell has my family lived on the East Coast all this time when there's this, palm trees, nice weather, beaches, So we're getting a running commentary from the letter A here.
Identify yourself.
I would come up with a puppet character for him.
Yeah, a photo at least.
Is this A in sign language? I think
it is A in sign language. That's right.
I would say something to say.
A sock puppet or something. Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Gary's saying, it's hard, Dylan, to generalize an entire state, but yes, it's true. Like people are moving out in the droves, but there aren't any shortage, and maybe Gary can keep me in check on this, but there aren't any shortage of people that would be willing to buy California real estate for the exact reasons that Gary's saying. So for everyone that sells their house and leaves, an investor sees an opportunity and then maybe rent that out. So if it's a distressed property, the likelihood that they'll go ahead and fix and flip that, or fix it up and hold it and rent it out to somebody else that can't afford it, that's moving in. There isn't anything to indicate, especially with the way that inventory is so short out here, that there's any lack for that, right? So it's something to keep an eye on. There's no real certainty one way or another, I think, about how it's getting affected overall, like as a state, but California is the most desirable place on the planet, or at least in the country, in many respects, to live. So it has that going for it. And then the appreciation aspect too. Like there's a lot of investors that aren't looking for those cash flowing deals. They're looking for that appreciation, that tax write-off. There's a lot of incentive still, even with people leaving to own California real estate. And this might be circumstantial, or like, but people that leave, they oftentimes come back because they go somewhere and they decide they don't like it. They grew up in California, they come back. It's like, I've seen it a lot. So there's always that too. But I think I listened to the same podcast that you're talking about with Patrick Bet-David, and he was saying like California is losing, the Elon Musks of the world. They're taking Tesla to Austin. They're going outside of places where this tight stranglehold the regulation is around them, and they may be taking a lot of people with them.
I'd be happy
and
if
it's
the
definitely
planet lost Elon, somewhere, because that guy.
that's another conversation.
Yeah,
but
the baby billionaire with an adolescent streak the size of, I don't know, I don't think he's a great role model. He may be brilliant, but don't think he's a great role model for the country. And if he wants to leave California, goodbye, happy to see him
Right.
go. Look, I just got off the phone with an investor in Missouri who's buying a property in Joshua Tree. He owns a big construction company in Missouri. And so people are buying here too. There's a flow. My sister a couple years ago moved to Utah. I'm pretty sure she did it to make sure the kids got out of the house before they turned 30 this year. So 2 years ago, she moved. In fact, we were talking. She said, "What if they're here and when I'm 30? What if they're still living in a house when they're 30?" I said, "Well, move." And she took it seriously. Shake them loose. If you move, then they'll have to move too, and maybe they won't move in the same house with you. But she did. But really, the reason why she wanted to move to Utah is she and her husband are ski nuts. And she just wants to ski as many days as possible. When ski season is open, she lives right in the middle of ski country. The mountains are right there. She can be on the ski slopes in 10 minutes. And that's what she wanted for her lifestyle. People come to California because they want a lifestyle where they don't have to deal with snow, most of them. The other thing was mammoths. The season on mammoths just wasn't long enough for her. But there are always going to be a flow, but I don't think there's a mass exodus. I think that's an exaggeration. I think that's what we call sensationalism, to get people to listen to your podcast. Maybe. Anything else, Dylan?
No, I think I was gonna ask to like Patrick, because I had sent something about a lead that I had, and I told the agent that like, oh, and you too. I don't know if you got an email from an agent, but I told an agent on a combo like, oh yeah, I need to speak to someone from your company, because we have to pitch ourselves like, oh, we're a company picking up properties and blah blah blah. They wanted company info, and then one of the agents, I told them, oh yeah, we got an agent. His name is Gary. He's agent for Fathom. So I don't know if you got an email from her, but yeah,
No,
it's for
I didn't.
pretty. Yeah, I doubt it. She's probably already trust me. And then the other agent definitely wanted to talk to Patrick, but that was just like something else.
No, I watched Wednesday meeting you guys had. I saw you on there with Patrick. The thing is, when you're a member of the Sub2 group, Pace just tells you to use his credibility stuff, so he gives it to us. I don't think Patrick made that super clear, but that's where, that's one of the benefits of being affiliated with Pace through the mentorship. So A was asking, why would I be part of the mastermind? More money, spend more money to be part of the mastermind, because I want to hang out with people that are in that group. So, it's proximity. Why did I go to Montana when I was invited to go with Pace to meet, hang out with Jerry Norton, hang out with Pace, hang out with, these high level people, hang out with Jamil again, get to say hi to him again, showing Pace. Oh, I know that guy. He's one of Pace's crew. I know him. It's good when people like that recognize you. So I see it as a pay to play kind of thing, right? Pay to play. There you go. From Walt to everyone.
Jinx. So at the same time.
Right. I mean, one thing I know, if invalidated proof of funds from Paces Oregon. Yeah, I mean, at this point, Paces has proof of funds, but what's more valuable is the credibility package he gives. Patrick's able to prove his own funds now. His business has gotten to the point where he doesn't need somebody else to do that for him.
If you are looking for that though, Facebook search in the Sub2 group, if you all are in that, for proof of funds, there's a lot of common threads that have that attachments that Pace has given us and granted us the access to use. So
you're not in Sub2, right, Dylan?
No,
are you not
but
Sub2?
that's probably one of the things that's going to make me decide to join, because that's how I've been pitching myself to these agents, and I feel like it helps. And I think that if I could use Pace's credibility, that's definitely worth it, because I'm here on standby, like waiting, like sending leads in, but I'm like, maybe if I could just prove the credibility, like off of Pace's credibility, then things would get going, and then I could reach out.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, go ahead. Finish your
I was
thought.
like, then I have to sub two for Dispo as well. You know, someone in sub two could like be like, hey, dude, like I need help with Dispo on this. Oh, okay, cool. You know, so yeah,
Well, I
much-
mean, you're getting, you know, the way Pace will put it, and which is true, is that, you know, there's a barrier to entry, right? You got to cough up some money to get in. It's like the difference between the people you see shop in Walmart and Costco, or even Sam's Club for that matter. People pay to belong to, you know, that raises the bar. You're not going to get people who can't afford to pay them a membership fee. Same thing when you join a mastermind. If you spend 15 or 20,000 to join a mastermind and you're part of a group, you know, all of those people put up wrote a serious check to be part of that. And one thing I noticed for a long time was that Pace promotes his mastermind students. He elevates them so and that man can drive business. Look at what an influencer he is. Like I said, I can't, everywhere I go, he shows up on a slide in a PowerPoint presentation and on, you know, hi, my name's Pace Morby in my ears while I'm sitting in the hotel room. He is on everyone's radar. He's one of the hottest commodities right now. So being associated with him, how does that ever hurt to be associated with a guy like that? So as we say, your network is your net worth.
yeah,
Let's give Robert a chance. So you're good? You're good?
yeah.
Been in the spotlight long
Just
enough?
really quick before we move on, and just so Dylan, I know that Patrick was looking at that deal. I think I was sitting on a call with him when that had come through, and he was vetting it. So I'll ping him later, and we can get into a little update for you. I know that it's in his books. So
Okay, so there's Dylan submitted a deal. Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah, I think there was the lead out of like Texas, was it, Dylan? It's okay. We'll sync up with you after.
Lancaster. That's
Lancaster. Okay.
yeah, that's LA County, northern LA County. So Robert, what you got for us today?
All right, so I just had a quick question about the lead submission form because I know it has an option for cash and creative, and the creative is like for sure like has to be negotiated for sure. But as far as the cash deal, like when exactly do we submit the lead? Like we don't necessarily have to submit our own LOI. We just negotiate with the agent, and then like if they're kind of interested in like whatever you're negotiating, then we submit it, and then you guys will take it from there and submit an actual offer, like kind of on our behalf, or like how exactly would that be?
Mike, you want to take that one?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways I think that you can approach it. The further on that you go to like locking up the contract yourself, I think that it tiers off and what the payout would be for you, right? So there's different advantages to you moving the conversation further along. But just to qualify it as a lead, we need 5 pillars, right? The comps, are you familiar with what those are?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we need that submitted in the lead. If it's a cash deal, that's fine. But we need to have at least some level of interest with the motivation there. It's like the primary focus. And then you can submit that along with like the address information in that, and that's good enough. I think that at that point, Patrick would basically be taking it over to call on it and close it. So once it's submitted over, we would underwrite it, let you know if it's a deal or not, and depending on how far along you took that would kind of tear you off into what your involvement would be. Yeah. But a cash deal, yeah, just as long as there's that motivation. Go on.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, that was just really what I was wondering. Like I wasn't sure we had to submit our own LOI and get like a contract accepted already and then submit it. Like yeah, that was just like just the timeline of when exactly. But it does seem like we just negotiate really as much as we could and try to fill out that whole lead form and then just send it to you, and then just like because like I'm not trying to like negotiate with you guys price of what we get. Like the 500 is fine with me. I just want to get the like proof of concept. But yeah, just when exactly was my question. But yeah, you answered it.
Yeah, yeah, at that point, I think it'd be fine to submit over, and then Patrick would be basically in direct contact with you. And if it was a deal, could involve you in the process, so you can kind of get the hang of like what happens past that point, so you can get a little bit of experience with it too. Plus the the $500 payout that I know is the agreement. So if you think you
Mhm.
have something that would be worth looking at, yeah, that's where you'd send it.
All right, thank you.
Cool, man.
Good. Anybody else?
I know there's a hand here somewhere.
Well, I noticed that, we get a lot of gators in here and some of them are baby gators. I just want to point something out to you guys. When someone requests due diligence money, we're talking about 3 states in the country that use this due diligence money, because I actually stumbled across a conversation in the Elephant chat rooms where someone said, "Oh, I need due diligence money," and there's all these baby gators saying, "Oh, I'll loan you, I'll loan you." Due diligence money is a fee. It's non-refundable. You definitely don't want to lend money to somebody for due diligence money. 3 states, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Texas. And South Carolina didn't used to have it. I don't know when they implemented it, but those are the 3 states. South Carolina's, I guess, just to be their markets so intertwined with North Carolina, I guess they just wanted to be on par with them or consistent for whatever reason. But I don't know what that thing, I understand an option fee, right? I understand option fee. You pay somebody for the right to have an option on their property. And I can record a memorandum of an option when I take an option out on a property. So I understand the concept of paying a fee for that, but due diligence money just to go under contract with you, I got to pay you. Screw that. So why do people not want to buy in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Texas? But it doesn't stop people from buying there. Doesn't stop people from paying that fee, even though to me it's absurd. I'm giving you earnest money deposit. Why do I have to pay a fee? But baby gators, if you come across that, do not lend people money for due diligence. Okay? Earnest money, not due diligence. Do not loan on that.
Can you make the distinction, Gary? Because it looks like Dylan's asking is the due diligence fee and the amount for the earnest money deposit the same thing? I think we're saying no, but what's the
No,
distinction?
they're separate fees. Due diligence is a fee. It's a fee. It's non-refundable. Earnest money is generally refundable unless, it's written in the contract that it's not. But you can, the state, you can't override state law when it comes to earnest money. Like, for instance, some of PACE's contracts, the generic contracts they use, say the buyer and seller agree that the money is refundable no matter what. Well, you can put that in the contract, but you can't tell the escrow company that they have to follow that, because the escrow company is obliged to get 2 signatures to release EMD in California and other states. Other states have that same rule. Okay, so do not lend money for due diligence. EMD is okay.
Aaron, did you have a question? It looked like maybe you were trying to raise your hand. Was
Yeah, I had a question.
okay?
Where is it? Aaron?
Aaron Mears,
Yeah, I see it.
number 1. I'm first. I'm gonna be the winner of this race.
Oh, okay.
So I did some calling on the list that I got from I guess it was Dawn and Dawn and Mike.
Dawn and Mike.
And,
Dumbo Don, right?
yeah, there you go. And I came up with one, I couldn't talk to the realtor that listed the property, but somebody from his office said that he would probably be very interested in talking to us about what could be done with this property, right? They've had it on the market since 08, 04, 23. So it hadn't been out there, that long, but I went ahead and listed it as a deal. I got to talk to her, and she gave me a little bit about it, but I couldn't talk to him. So did I need to go further on that before submitting it as a lead, or
Well, you're
having the fact
submitting,
that they're interested in talking to us?
you got the contact from Dawn and Mike, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that case, you should be following up on it through Dawn and Mike.
Well, I will, but
Um,
I'm,
I don't know what
trying to follow.
I don't know what their
you're talking
exact
about.
rules are, what their expectations of you are. I know that we have a consistent program for who gets paid for paying people. So the idea is we don't want the baby elephants shopping deals around.
Well, I'm not shopping deals around. What I'm asking the question is, all right, they told me to sit in with each group to figure out which group suits me or fits me better, right? So today was my first with them, and today is my first with y'all. And you just got through talking with Dylan about how he put his in. And I'm asking for you here, do I need to go further with the realtor or the real estate company and get them in deeper conversation before I list it, with what y'all are doing here?
Mike, can you put your hands on the compensation sheet?
Where the leads are submitted through.
The compensation document, it's in the Circle app. I think we should call that up to discuss it. Do you know where it is, or should I go hunt? I can go hunt.
Yeah, I don't know that I know where that is.
Well, I'm not sure I know exactly where it is, but
And I'm not talking about compensation.
no, well,
I'm
yeah,
talking
but
about
but
how-
I think it's relative to compensation, because how far you can take the lead before you turn it over determines how much you're going to potentially earn from it. So I think it's relevant. Let me look in the docs here and see if I can.
That information is housed within the deal submission form that we have, Gary. At the very
So
bottom,
your
it kind of
submission form is
lists that
different?
out. Yeah, I think that's what Gary's trying to say, Aaron, is that we
Okay.
kind of are in our own groups. We all are working on the same team, but there are different elephant leaders, and we kind of, in order to not shop things around, not saying that you're doing that, we like it so that if you get a lead from one group, that you're following with their rules and requirements for how far to push things. You could probably and potentially push this deal further, to Gary's point, and then be a little bit more involved with the deal if you, for instance, get it under contract and then bring it back to Dawn. But we don't know what their requirements are, because we're a separate
Okay,
elephant
so
team,
you're just
right?
saying there's multiple tiers
Right, like
with your group, and with their group, there's only 2 tiers. They only have 2
right.
tiers.
We not sure how Dawn does it, but Dawn would be the perfect person to ask.
Well,
If,
we're
for
all
instance,
supposed to be, why don't you call up the one from the form on, let's just look at
Yeah.
that, because
I have
it's
that.
got the compensation matrix on it. I'm not putting my fingers on it, but depending on how much you develop the lead, Aaron, will determine how much compensation you get. So I think that's an important factor. Maybe,
Okay.
Getting the first deal for a lot of people, it's like, I don't care. I just want to get the learning of landing a deal.
Right. Well,
Yes,
that's
right.
mostly
Yep.
what I'm interested in.
Right. But we should have the conversation in the right context. That's all I'm
Okay.
saying. So I know there's different levels, if you bring if you bring a lead, it's one thing, but if you bring an agreement, do you have it yet, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the share screen. I'll drop the link.
Oh,
This is
down
Patrick.
at the bottom. Pull the mouse down the bottom.
Mm.
It'll say share screen.
Should be green down at the bottom.
Yeah, the green button.
No, it's my computer has Zoom scattered across a couple different windows. So it's
Oh.
boy.
here. I found it. Okay. It's always very tricky.
Scatter zoom, huh? Yeah, now you're gonna share it on some monitor off over here somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, multiple monitors helps
Right.
in theory, but yeah. So this is Patrick's. We're not saying submit that information here again, but this is what ours would look like.
All right.
This is the information.
Where's the whole compensation thing? Okay.
Yeah, this is the
Maybe
compensation.
Element brings a motivated lead that needs to be pay out 500, right? If you get one under contract and you need a payout, a disposition, then it's 70-30 max amount 3,000. So if you get it to the next stage, you're talking about some serious money, right?
Yeah.
If you bring a contract that needs to be renegotiated to a lower price, you only get 1,000. So if you hit the nail right on the head with that contract and bring it, you can make up to 3,000, right?
Okay.
If you're provided a list and you bring a motivated lead, then the payout's 1,000. If you find a buyer that closes, then it's an additional 1,000. So this gives you something to shoot for, or at least puts a context around the conversation. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, it does. It does quite a bit, and I appreciate that.
All right. Well, just respect the fact that if Dawn and Mike paid to give you a list, they're skip tracing and they're paying for the technology that to get the list to you, that you should always work it through them. If you're finding it on your own, you can bring it to anybody you want.
I understand
It's
that.
open
I agree with it.
hunting season. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
And I remember Caroline saying something about that in the introductory videos for the Elephant Challenge.
Carly maybe, or was it Caroline?
Carly, no,
Carly.
yeah, Carly. Ann and Caroline Kane,
Yeah, Caroline. Yeah. Okay.
she mentioned it too. Anyway, thank you.
All right. You're welcome, sir. Glad to
And
help.
for those of you that are wondering where you might be able to get a list that would be within this group, this is something Patrick and I have been working on developing for this team for the upcoming Elephant Challenge that's launching next week.
You guys
and I
gonna pull
think-
some lists for them to call?
Yeah, we have, right. So we have lists that we're working on pulling that'll basically be provided amongst this group and the people that are joining into the upcoming Elephant Challenge that will be ready and available to dial on, where this is they can all be submitted to the link that I just posted in the chat here. So if you're wondering where that exists within this group, that's coming, and I think next Monday when we regroup, that should be something we have available. So
Awesome. Which, by the way, everybody, we're not going to be holding our Wednesday meeting this week because we want you in the challenge with Pace. You know, everybody's going to want to be in there. I mean, it's always fun to hang out with Pace and Laura and whoever else he brings in. Are you guys going DTA, direct agent, low equity deals? Yeah, that's Patrick's bullseye for creative deals. Yeah, I help Patrick with providing MLS data for him to then play with. I showed him how to import that into PropStream and then identify the opportunities. We can go through 400. We can pull a list of 400 and find the 2 best potential properties for creative. Doesn't mean we're going to be able to close them, but it means that there's 398 calls we don't have to make. It's
We like to say
I
time.
call it I call it always play with a laser, not a shotgun. If or you know the sniper rifle. You want to hit the target, you know, 1,000 yards away. You're not going to do it with a shotgun. They're both fun, yeah. Yeah, they are. Sniper rifles and lasers. They're tons of fun. Every kid should have at least two of each, right? Anybody? Not an inquisitive bunch today, but we do have a running commentary from the letter A.
I have a question.
Who's that?
Jerry.
Sherry?
I'm new for one. I'm new to your group, but I like,
Welcome.
thank you. My question is, I came across a realtor that stated that their client wanted, in order to get the deal or to make an offer, we would have to do inspections first and then place out offer, and then they would accept the highest and best. To me, it's don't make sense because we're wasting money and we're not sure we're gonna get the deal. So am I wrong? Or what you say?
What's the bottom line question there? Are we wasting money?
My thing is that, is there something that you do? I mean, is it okay? I mean, should we go on with what they're asking, or just go to the next property? I mean, to me,
If they're asking, if the agent's saying we are only going to accept the highest and best offer, you're saying is it even worth our time pursuing?
right.
You know, working with agents can be really difficult. I know because I am one, but I try not to be difficult to deal with. Here's the thing. When a property first comes on the market, everybody has expectations in their head how it's going to play out. Like I'll see them come in with a listing, submit offers by September 20th. We're going to review them on the 21st and take the best one. Well, the 20th comes around, the 21st comes around, the 22nd comes around, the 25th comes around, and the property is still on the market. So much for we're only accepting all offers due this date, meaning they thought they got something that's fire. And people are going to be bidding this thing up, and obviously they didn't even hit their target, right? So when people tell you, or when an agent or a seller is being unreasonable, stalk them. Seriously, just stalk them. So the best deals, I'm a property stalker. I'm a property, yeah, I love stalking properties. I'll tell you great examples. I offered on one of my last flips I did, I offered the woman $275,000 for her property, and she turned it down. And she kept the price at 3.25, 3.25, 3.25, 3.25. Well, wouldn't you know, when she finally got realistic with her price, I was the last one standing in line. I'm still here. And you know what? I paid $250 for the property. She turned down my $275, and like 6-7 months later, I got it for $250 because nobody else was still looking at it. Every month, every other month, every few weeks, I check in with the agent. Is she ready? Is she ready? Is she ready to talk yet? Is she ready to talk? So when she finally said she was ready, then a similar thing happened with a few flips before that. I targeted this property. I wanted to pay $270,000. The guy wanted $350. Then he brought it down to $325, but he wasn't budging. And I kept calling the agent. Is your seller willing to get serious yet? And finally, I called him November something, and I said, if it'll help, I'll give him another $1,500. So I pushed in another offer just so I make sure he talked to the seller, and the seller sold it to me. Because is that as long as you can get it closed by the end of the year. So what he was approaching was the deadline in his head. I got to get this sold by the end of the year. For whatever reason, he had that number, and bingo, I got what I wanted. All right, I paid an extra 1,500. I felt really horribly beaten about the shoulders over that one, you know. But if you think that it's a deal that you want, then stock it. Put it on, keep a radar, you know, it's on my radar. I'm gonna check, I'm gonna keep checking, because this guy's not gonna sell it at this ridiculous price he's asking.
Okay, because it's been on the market 152 days.
There you go. Well, you know, so just keep talking to, you know, whispering to you, hey, agent, is your seller willing to budge yet? Sometimes they won't. Sometimes it's like they might as well be for sale by owner. Some of those people will never, ever, you know, they don't really want to sell. We already know they don't like agents, you know. But Pace said a good point about for sale by owners. They're great practice. You want to talk to sellers, you want to learn how to talk to sellers, just practice on them. Call FSBOs. Don't expect to get your deal, but just do it for practice. I want to learn how to talk to crazy sellers.
Okay. All right,
Yeah,
so,
with that many days on market, you always want to check, because agents contradict themselves sometimes. If you're listening, they're saying, I only want the highest and best offer, but if it's been on the market for, you said 160 days, that's ammunition that you then have to go take back to them and say, look, this is, you know, this is overpriced, and you have leverage to then offer up your price that you're looking to get it for, right? So
I
Gary
really
said, you
like
have to
this, Mr. and Mrs. Agent. I really like this property. I think I could do great things with this property if I got my hands on it. You know, tell your seller, I love their property, you just don't love their price. You know, just tell them how to, just keep working them. You never know.
okay, so just ignore this inspection thing altogether. Just keep calling them.
Yeah, just check. Look, I'm just checking in. I just want you to know I'm still interested in that house at 32 Banana Street, but you know, whatever. Just keep letting them know you're a ready buyer. Look, if your seller ever gets, you know, I just want, hey, how's it going? You could be social. It's good to hear your voice again. Just want to let you know I'm still a buyer. I'm doing this with an agent right now. It's a sub-2 deal that I want to convince them to, but I'm trying to get the agent to give me a referral on it so I can close the deal, still pay her, and just get it out of her, away from her broker who won't let the deal happen.
Okay.
But I just keep checking in with her. Hey, Tommy, you know, what's going on with the seller? Are you sure this seems like such a perfect fit? You know, I just keep being a little, you know, beep, 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 beep in her ear, you know.
Okay, I'll do just that.
Yeah,
Thanks
do
a
it,
lot.
try it. Be nice about it, you know, be charming, Sherry, you know, and make a friend, you know, find out about the agent, maybe, you know, how's your cousin doing, who is sick, is he feeling, you know, get on that kind of, use it to build rapport, and it's like,
Okay.
look, you know, I'm here.
Okay, will do.
All right, Sherry.
Thanks a lot.
Be a great stalker. Happy stalking, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? I don't mind ending early if you guys are that tired and someone
You got
just
Dylan again.
Oh,
Raised hand.
Dylan again. what's her name today? I missed
Sherry's
it.
probably on the other link. I bet.
Oh, is that it? Yeah, Sherry. What happened to Sherry? Usually she's good for 5 questions a session. What's up, Dylan?
Other Sherry.
I mean, I've honestly recently been trying the approach of like continually buttering up the agents, and I feel like it's been more fruitful for me. I mean, do you have any more tips on like buttering them up, like, and just kind of trying to be their friend and like just, you know, besides,
People are people, you know, use compliments, you know, if you really want to butter up agents, see if they're check to see if they made any sales. You know, if that's what you want to do, oh, I noticed you closed one, congratulations. I just noticed, oh, I noticed that one you had on Cedar Street just went under contract. Wanted to congratulate you and, you know, just remind you, I'm still a buyer for 123 Main Street. If that seller, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you get plenty of a positive reaction from complimenting people and recognizing their successes.
For sure. Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's pretty much it. Well, I guess one more too, like, so when you guys say like, you know, property's gonna sit on the market, you're gonna stock it, that's because there's no comps to prove like the value of the property, right? Or
Well, you've comped it, you figure, what can I mean, for me, it's usually a fixer that people just want too much money for. Well, I'm stalking fixers because I like to do flips. Flipping houses is a disease for which there's no known cure. People who love doing it, they just love doing it. I can't. Why do you want to take on all these headaches? Because I love it. People look at me like, you know, I got 3 eyes in my forehead and a horn. You know, like, what's wrong with you? Why would you do this? You can make just as much money wholesaling without doing any of that stupid work, without any of that stupid risk, without having to deal with all those crazy people that call themselves construction people, you know. So yeah, you
Well, I mean,
love
you're a
doing it.
writer. You're a writer, so I mean, you like the process, right? I mean, you publish books, right?
I used to.
Yeah, that's probably why, right? I don't know. Yeah, just pointing that out. I Googled your name recently. Like, oh, Gary
Oh
Schnapp.
yeah, you Google my name. That's so
Speaking of stalking,
you saw all those freaking books, right? Go to Amazon and
Yeah.
search my name. Yeah, there's quite a few. There's over 20 of them out there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't know that
Well,
either.
who wants to count? Yeah, I wrote a lot of books. A lot of them I published too. Some of them I didn't, but most of them I did because I finally got smart about it. You know, I'm getting like $9,000 and this publisher's getting hundreds of thousands on this. Why is that? Why am I putting up with that for a freaking minute? It's like,
Yeah.
you know, why rent a house when you can own the house for less money? Why am I letting them get all the money? I mean, I still sold it on Amazon but you know, when I'd release a book, each one of those books was worth 500,000 to $1 million over 3 years. I mean, that's not huge money, but you know, it's good money, decent money over a few years. Yeah.
For a book, for sure.
I get to keep the whole thing, right? I don't have to, no publisher involved. I mean, I printed them. I had to spend $40,000 for the press run. I had to pay people to do the editing and, you know, we did a lot of the production in-house, but same concept.
No, I feel you. I think it's just like the process, but that's it. I'll just leave it at that. Just to, you know, I think you're a process kind of guy.
Yeah, well,
And
Jerry says I run into a lot of agents that seem not to like wholesalers. Can you imagine why?
yeah, 'cause they don't
Jerry,
think-
come talk to us. Is your camera on, Jerry? Because I'll bring you up here. Is your camera on?
Here he is.
Where is he? Why am I not finding him? Did he put his hand up? No. There he is. Come up here and talk to us. All right. So now anybody in the text who wants it, why would agents not like wholesalers?
I mean, I know why. I mean, you know, a lot of wholesale, well, I don't say a lot, but
Wholesalers don't perform. Thank you,
they don't
Dylan.
perform. They got burned a lot. I try to be like, well, I'm not them. I'm not that guy. I want to do it the right way. Give me a chance to, you know, change your mind.
Scam. Well, yeah, I mean, after you've worked with a bunch of wholesalers, I mean, even I've got lots of wholesaler friends, right? I got wholesaler friends, but some of them are knuckleheads. A lot of them, I get annoyed with the texts and the emails that they send me.
Yeah.
It's like, does somebody have some mosquito spray? I gotta spray this room here, because they can be freaking annoying. And yeah, Dylan, you're right. Don't present yourself as a wholesaler, but it's any agent that's had to deal with wholesalers, they'll figure it out quickly enough. And especially since people like Pace and Jamil and Brent Daniels, all these people have made it such a big popular thing to do, all these gurus out there. Agents get bombarded. And let's face it, I mean, I know if I'm working with a seller, even though it looks like it could be a wholesale deal, I know the seller's not going to go for it. And I tell them, and they don't take no for an answer. No, I had a deal like that recently in La Quinta, California here. There was no way that I was going to be able to sell it at a wholesalable price. She was going to hold out, and we just kept doing little things to make the house look better until we ended up with an end buyer who paid $70,000 more than any wholesaler would pay. And there's an interesting, in some markets, in low inventory markets right now, there are buyers who will break down and do the work themselves just to get a door, just to get in the door and a place to live. It's come to that. If it's a really desirable neighborhood, it's a really nice house that just needs refresh and work, people will pay the money. The difference between that buyer and the true wholesale, the end buyer for the wholesale, is the flipper. The flipper needs to make a profit. The end buyer doesn't need a profit. They just want to know that they take their purchase price and the money they're going to put into it, the house is going to be worth everything that they put into it. So by cutting the profit out of that formula, they can afford to pay a lot more than a wholesaler. And the wholesaler is going to take a bite, and then the flipper needs their profit. So remember that some of these wholesalers are pretty greedy. They want more money for getting a deal than an agent gets with a good commission. In fact, some wholesalers ruin the deals because they're too greedy. But that's why agents don't love wholesalers. But that being said, Patrick's killing it, right? He's got a good rap. He performs, and that's what makes a difference. And when an agent starts pushing back, he's got proof. Look, we do this all the time. I'm hearing that you're a little reluctant to deal with us, but we're working with the largest buyers in the Sun Belt. We're doing this. We've got. I can send you credibility package, and he's willing to demonstrate with no uncertain terms that, hey, we will perform. We are performing. And the terms he's offering is all cash, 5 days inspection. Only 5 days. A lot of these wholesalers out there, they don't know who their buyers are. That Patrick and I fought for months. I fought with him because I went on that ride with him when he was starting it up, and he would get properties under contract, but wasn't able to move them. And I go, Patrick, this is a perfectly good deal. If I were flipping in Sacramento, I would buy this deal. I won't work on flips that are hundreds of miles away from where I live because I'm very hands-on. And, you know, I want quality control. Patrick is my partner on this podcast that's usually on with us. He's got it dealing with the power outage today, so he has no internet, no computer. But Patrick Hurley is usually on this. We're usually doing this together. Mike filled in for me last week when I was away, and now he's filling in for Patrick. Yeah, Patrick normally co-hosts. Thanks, Mike. Anyway, this is why agents don't like wholesalers. But once you can, when you're like, look, I'm not going to tie you up your house for more than 5 days, sign the contract. But if we're not closing in 10, 15 days all cash with a 5-day inspection contingency, hey, I would if I have no other deal and I have a seller, and I would go to the seller, look, it's only 5 days, right? What if they don't perform? Well, it's only 5 days. They're not going to string me along. I just literally rewrote a contract for a property where the buyer the wholesaler went under contract at the beginning of August. And we're 11 days into September, stringing this seller along, got a notice of default. It's not getting any better, right? For weeks, stringing this along. I got a buyer who's going to save the deal for them. But this woman was pissed, you know, forget about an agent, but the seller was pissed, and I don't blame her. If there had been an agent involved, that they never would have gotten away with that much. So, you know, be a wholesaler with scruples, have ethics, know who your buyers are before you start tying up people's $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, $800,000 assets when you don't know you can perform. People won't get mad at you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times it's like he's coming behind, I guess, like a wholesaler who didn't perform, where, I mean, they don't give me the chance. Well, I already have a buyer in mind, you know. I've had buyers, you know, walk the property for me and tell me a price to, you know, get on the contract for, and whether they end up going with another person. And like, I have a property right now I had a buyer for, that probably been under contract 3 times. And I saw somebody trying to sign it on Facebook yesterday for ridiculous amount, but I think I'm gonna reach back out to that agent again, you know, after this one falls out, and they could have had a buyer already, because I already had one locked up. And
if you've got a good stable of buyers, and you can look at a deal and say, I know who's going to buy this for me, or it's going to be one of these 3 people, but I got 3 buyers that'll take this. One of them's going to grab it. And you know you can get that disposed in 5 days. When you've got your act down like that, you will make a lot of money wholesaling properties.
I mean, I had it disposed the same day. You know,
right. You should know. I mean, trust me, Keegley, when Jamil is involved in those and his dispo team, they look at a deal, they know exactly where it's going right away. This is going to so and so. This deal, and you know, when I've been doing transactional stuff for sub-2 students long enough. When I come across a deal floating around there, I'm like, and I see it, I'm like, this is a Brandon deal. This is a Patrick deal. This is one that I'll know right away if when I see the deal, who'd probably want that, because I work with a lot of buyers now, so I'm able to do dispo sometimes. Most of the time, my buyers know where they're going with these properties, but every once in a while, things don't work out, and frequently I'm able to say, you know what, I got a buyer for you. Let me pick up the phone. But that's how you make money in wholesaling. Getting a deal under contract and then wondering who's going to buy it, if you don't have a very good idea where you're going with that property, that is not a model for success, right? And you got that, Jerry. You understand that, right? So, but a lot of people don't get that. And when Patrick first started, it was all about finding deals, finding deals, finding deals. I'm like, no, focus on buyers. Stop it. Focus on buyers. Get the buyers things straightened out. Get the dispo side taken care of. You can't have you can't have buying without dispoing. You know, if you don't have those two major pieces, you got nothing. You got one wheel, you know, out of two for a bicycle with one wheel, and not that you can't do that, but you're missing a major component of your business without having that. So what are people asking you? You got something else to say or ask?
No, that was it. I appreciate you, Gary.
And I appreciate you for being here and asking questions. Thank you. Is Jakima ready to talk to us again?
Ready. So,
I talked to you before we started, Jakima, but now you're
I'm here. So my question is, I mean, you're an agent, so I don't know if you probably have dealt with it, but
yeah, but I'm a unicorn. I'm a unicorn.
I know. Oh, it's hard not dealing with unicorn agents, but I don't know if you've ever been pitched novations, and if so, like, how would you pitch that to an agent that may or may not know what that is for a seller?
Well, I have recently come to the conclusion that the way to structure novation agreements is with a lease purchase and an option agreement.
Okay.
So the problem is there's a lot of problems with novation agreements, the way I've seen them. Even in sub 2, I don't like our novation agreement. I wouldn't use it. I was getting ready to do a novation myself, and I was going to structure it as a lease, a purchase agreement, and an option agreement, 3 agreements working together. And I don't even like the lease purchase agreement where you've got or an option agreement that has the lease option agreement that has dictates the terms of the sale.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the biggest resistance you're getting from realtors is that the structure is too weird. It's too foreign. It's a bizarre concept. You know, the whole novation as a legal term means we're going to substitute something for another. And I don't like that. I think that's why agents are not. You're more likely to sell that concept to an end buyer. Has everybody here ever seen that program, Unsellable Houses, with the twins up in Washington State? The two realtors. It's HGTV, Unsellable Houses. That whole program is all about novations. So if you're trying to pitch somebody novations, you could ask them if they saw that show. Because the whole structure of what they do on Unsellable Houses is novation. So they have a contract with the owner. They actually do a profit split. I don't recommend that. I just recommend that because profit leaves too much ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
A good opportunity for a dispute, but guaranteeing the seller X amount of dollars out of the deal, I think, is a stronger value proposition.
Mm-hmm.
But there are agreements out there that are bizarre, and no broker is going to allow those agreements to happen. The agent is not going to be able to do it because their broker's not going to let them. those famous real estate fix and flip twins, yes, and they're fraternal twins because they're not identical, that's for sure. They're two different people that happened at the same time, just like my nephews. They're womb mates, right? That's what we call them, but they're not identical twins. That whole show is about novation. So they have contracts that they write with the seller. They go in, they do the renovation, and then in the end, the house sells for lots of money because it's gorgeous and everybody's happy, happy, happy. But it's a hard sell only because of the agreement structures. So when I figured out how I do one and structure the agreement using all California state contracts. And I am a huge advocate of using the state promulgated contracts. They eliminate a lot of potential problems when you're doing business in any state because they're state sanctioned contracts. They're the standard contracts that people know. And, someone could think, oh, he's just saying that because he's an agent. Why do you think I became an agent? So I could use those damn things. I wanted to have that capability. I wanted to have access to them. Now in Texas contracts are created by the Real Estate Commission. They're called Texas Real Estate Commission, TREC. So they're called TREC documents, but it's one of the few states where the state itself creates the contracts and lets everybody use them. All citizens, anybody who comes along, you can just download them and use their contracts. Of course, it helps if you know what you're doing, so you know how to fill them out correctly and you don't make stupid blunders. But in most other states I've seen, they're done by the Real Estate Commission and the Real Estate Associations. So the state in California Association of Realtors. They create and manage the forms, so they only make them available to realtors. That makes sense. Realtors are paying for them. Realtors are the ones who have access. Right, my car forms, California Association of Realtors. And I think California, you want to be down on it because we have a lot of laws, and sometimes they feel like they're extra, but the California Association of Realtors forms, there is a form for everything. Everything you could imagine, we got a form for it. Even though most of the real estate agents you'll deal with have no clue what's in that bundle there. I made it my business. The first thing I did was I'm going to learn all the freaking forms in the library. I am going to be the guy who knows all of them. Because if I want to get creative, I got to know what's in there. How can you be creative if you don't? What's that, Mike?
That's what you love to do. We like to watch Netflix shows when we're relaxing. Gary's reading law and contracts.
Yeah, it's true. I even make appointments with other agents in other states to look at their forms. I've done that with a number of states already. Yeah, I'll schedule an hour and let's look at your forms. I want to look. Let's get in there. And what is your seller do you have a seller financing addendum? I don't know. Search financing. Okay, see what pops up. Do you have what do you have for this? Well, let's look at your lease. Let's look at your, the purchase agreement. What addendums do you typically have? So. And I want to do that because I want to replicate what I'm doing across the country at some point. I want to get I want an extended team across the country. There's no cure. Thanks, Mike. Look, I nerd out on that legal stuff. What can I say? But that's valuable knowledge. I can figure out how to make a deal work like nobody else. Patrick calls me a transaction engineer. I am. It's true. I'm not a transaction coordinator. That's somebody who pushes some paper around and makes phone calls. I figure out how to get her done. Anyway, guys, this is it was a good question, Jakima. Any follow-up?
Thank you.
All right, anybody else wanna take a shot here? Somebody,
Diedrich raised his hand.
let's bring
Hey guys,
Diedrich. Hey,
Um,
Diedrich.
sorry for the bad lighting. Got a baby in tow too. So I had an interesting situation today that came up. I had a contract I was trying to close that fell through with the buyer. I had a buyer that I used. Well, because he's a developer and wants to buy lots that he can do a tear down and do 2 builds on. So was working with an agent trying to get that a contract closed. It fell through, and then right after that fell through, one of the agents came to me and said, "Hey, I've got another property downtown Nashville. It's 1.2 million. She's not the seller on it, but I guess it's off market and off market right now, probably about to be on market." And so she gave me the address to it and said, if you're interested, I could submit an offer for you. So my question is, I mean, I've never had like an agent submitting an offer for me. I mean, with the exception of buying my own house, I don't know how that would work. I mean, I'm particularly like doing wholesaling right now, so I don't know if that would work, or I don't know what your thoughts are.
Sure, well, I work with wholesalers.
Sorry?
Yeah, well, I work with wholesalers. California contracts are 100% assignable. So I work with wholesalers. I've done wholesale deals with Patrick when we were doing direct to seller. Now he's more direct to agent, so the agents write up their, the listing agents do the contracts. But every once in a while, we assign creative deals as well. So you can do that.
So, I mean, I guess how would I really bring the buyer to the table? I mean, would I still just treat them like my partner and introduce them that way then, or?
Not understanding the point of when you're wholesaling, right?
Right.
So you find an agent to work with that is going to be your go-to person. Are you direct to seller?
Direct to agent. So the first situation came about because I was on shoot, sorry, baby just got the mouse. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry.
She's good. She's quiet. She's
I'm
quiet for a
GTA,
little while.
Sorry.
She's quiet. She's pretty quiet. How old is she? 2, 3?
She's almost 2. Yeah.
It's almost 2. I mean, usually they're at full strength, 80, 90 decibels at that age, right?
Well, at this hour too. So she's about to go to bed. So she's getting a little cranky. So I'm direct to agent right now, and was going through the MLS and came across this deal that I contacted her on, and she was the agent representing the deal that fell through today. So then, I guess she's offering to represent me going for another deal, and I had just never like gone through an agent wholesaling, to get a deal like that. So I just didn't know how the structure would be set up, and really, I've never done that before.
Well,
so you're saying
I do fixed price for my clients. I'm not trying to make commissions. So I charge for transactional work.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're dealing with an agent who's coming from a retail mentality,
right,
that might not fly.
Right.
Because I looked at, as a member of Sub2, when I joined Sub2, I was doing mostly flipping.
Mm-hmm.
And after my first year in Sub2 and at the end of 2021, let's say, it was over or towards the end. Well, that last quarter, I started taking inventory. What should I have done? If I did one thing different? What would have put the most amount of money in my pocket?
Mm-hmm.
And no question for me, it was having a license. It would have added a lot. It would have reduced costs on one side. It would have enabled me to be way more self-propelled because I constantly had to find somebody who'd open a house for me.
Right.
Right now I got the app in here, you know, and beep, 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 and I'm in, you know. So number one. Number two, you know, the commissions I was paying on the sell side, the buy side, and not even, you know, I would go to realtors and say, I want to buy $2 million worth of property this year. And this is what I need from you. I was ready to outsource my acquisition to an agent who wanted to work with me. I said, you need to underwrite them. This is how you need to underwrite them. You need to comp them for me and, you know, find the deal. Nobody wanted to do that much work. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? I'm going to buy 2 million. How much commission is that? And if I buy 2, I'm going to want to sell it at like 3.2. And how much commission is that? You know, working with me, you're guaranteed to make a decent living, you know, and plus I'm not taking 100% of your day. So I was shocked that I could not find somebody to work with me.
Yeah. Okay, good feedback. Thanks.
Yeah, you know, but also now that I looked at it also, I said, what could my fellow students, if I, you know, what could I provide as a real estate agent to them that would make sense from a cost perspective, from a service perspective? What do they need the most help with? What can they legitimately, what would the market bear for that service? And it might be different in different parts of the country, but you know, I also have to pay my brokerage.
Right.
I pay my brokerage more than some TCs charge.
Yeah.
But what's the nice thing about that is that your deal is fully brokered. So it's all on state contracts. Every I is dotted, every T is crossed. I got 2 layers of quality assurance behind me. You know, a broker who checks my work, corporate who checks my work constantly. And so I'm adding a lot of value.
Yeah.
So, and I'm making it work. It's working. So I can say, Anthony says, not all principal brokers allow their agents to work with investors. Yeah, errors and specifically insurance is errors and omissions in insurance. And first of all, Anthony, I will not use non-standard contracts. And that's part of the beauty of being an agent in the investor world, is that it enables me to use all standard contracts. And if somebody comes to me with, like, even from the sub-2 mentorship, a contract from there, I say, look, first thing I got to do is replace this contract. So I'm going to send, if you want me to work this deal with you, I am going to send an amendment that replaces the new contract, the old contract with the new contract. And everybody's going to sign that, and then we're starting over again. So that's an absolute rule for working with me. There's no way I consider working any other way. So Anthony, that's how we get past that. We work with, but not all brokers are going to want to work with wholesalers. My company is totally okay with working with wholesalers, but they're not okay with me wholesaling. And I get that, because that would be a conflict of interest. And, you know, hey, I got my license. I mean, I'm not trying to score 100 more profit on selling a house than the seller is. Some wholesalers do that. So, you know, but I'm happy to get a listing. I don't need the big payoff. A few points on that's good enough for me.
They seem really investor friendly, honestly. I mean, they, you know, like that. Initially, the conversation was around, you know, I initially like asked to use my own contract, and they said, no, we want to use the TAR contract, the Tennessee contract, because, you know, this is all above board. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you're throwing shade. And she's like, no, I'm not throwing shade. And I said, that's cool. I'm just, you know, you're doing your commission thing. I'm used to making a little bit more than that. And so when she came back to me, you know, with that, I mean, I think that they are wholesale friendly. I mean, even the closing agency that they, you know, mentioned and wanted to use, you could tell was real, I mean, worked with a lot of wholesalers and investors. So it sounds like it's a good relationship. I'm gonna kind of dig into it.
Yeah, you got to find the right agent partner to work with you, who gets what you're doing, is going to, you know, look, most agents are searching for that customer is going to buy a house once in every 5 or 10 years or sell one every 5 or 10 years. They're constantly prospecting, trying to find that next customer. And most of my clients, I'm doing deal after deal after deal with them. Right? My clients are evergreen. That's
Yeah.
like when some agents think about that, it's like, you know, what? Yeah, I've got a couple clients I've done at least 5 deals with each.
Cool.
I'm not constantly in client acquisition mode. I am to some extent because I want to build a team. I want to get production up so that I can expand and scale it. But they're evergreen for the most part, right? Diedrich, you're not going to buy one property and then go away for 2 years, right?
No.
Right? You're going to keep buying. And if you
Yeah.
got a good relationship with someone, you'll keep working with that person. And that's the point you got to make to that agent, that when you find your unicorn, that agent will be, oh yeah, I get this. Yeah, I'll work with you. I don't have to make a killing on every one of your deals. It's sushi money, you know, or whatever,
Yeah.
right? It'll pay for my sushi habit. And now, you know, and and another customer will pay for, you know, all the electric for the year, and another client will pay, you know, my mortgage payment and whatever. You got to look at it that way.
Cool. Thanks, Gary.
All right, you're welcome, sir. It was a pleasure. All right, we're kind of getting to the end here. I'll just grab a few questions from Board of Realty contract. Make sure your agent will hustle with you, right? Okay, how can you get a sub-2 deal done with just standard contracts? Good question, Tim. In California, there's a form for everything, including sub-2, although I do have to add some addendums for sub-2 disclosures that the state doesn't provide. Some states, it would require a little bit more custom document. Because forms in California already handle a lot of the sub-2 stuff. It's easier, but it's still everything. Most of the contracts can be on standard Association of Realtor forms, and then you have to supplement a little. As long as the sale being a sub-2, there shouldn't be an issue, right, Dylan? Unless you form entity or operate through your entity. Well, I don't know what that's in relationship to, Anthony. I'm not sure what you mean by unless you form an entity. Addendums, sorry if there's a typo. Dylan, I'm not sure what you're saying. Is there a state assignment? In California, the contract's assignable. In fact, by default, it's assignable for 17 days. It's assignable to a wholly owned subsidiary without seller permission, and it's assignable to a non-related entity with seller's permission not to be unreasonably withheld. So I've never had a problem with the seller saying you can't assign it. So anyway, guys, it's been fun. I missed having Patrick here. Nobody to torture. So we'll just have to save it up for next Monday. We're not going to meet this Wednesday because we are all going to be attending the sessions with Pace, right? What is it, from 1 to, is it 2 to 5 or 3 hours, 2 to 5? Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, is that it? Let me just check that. Make sure you all show up, please. What is it? I should know this off the top of my head. Yeah, it's from 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. So that's Eastern time, 5 to 8. And now we finally get some noise in here, right? All right, guys, it's enough. It's been fun. I enjoyed spending this time with you. We'll see you next Wednesday. And this Wednesday, we'll see you in the Elephant Challenge. All right. Bye now.
Take care.
Thanks.